am really sorry. I'll share that link. Okay.
Yeah.
Actually, it's a mixed Prabhu, not complete English. They are mostly in Bengali speaking devotees.
Okay.
Only their they know English. Or some of the 3-4 devotees don't know much in English. They can able to understand. I'll share. Your daughter can join. Okay. Yes, Prabhu. 2 slokas only. One is that that 2 slokas. First start.
గీతారత్నమాలలో ఉంటుంది అలా వెళ్తున్నారా ప్రభుజీ?
అట్లా లేదు. 108 slokas లో 1 second. Something is going on. 1 second behind. Okay. So actually 108 slokas there, Mataji. In that Gita Mahatmya is there, first few verses. We learned 2 verses. That is, Maline Mochanam Kumsam, Jala Snanam Dine Dine, Sakrit Gitamrita Snanam, Samsara Malanashanam. That is 1 verse. Eko Shastram Devaki Putra Gitam, Eko Devo Devaki Putra Eva, Eko Mantras Tasya Namani Yani Karmyapi Ekam Tasya Devasya Seva. So these 2 verses shared yesterday and today, and we are connecting every Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday only. Because Thursday they had a Bhakti Shastri Bengali class. Friday we have 1-to-1 meeting and Chaitanya Charitamrita class. Saturday there is one devotee from Bangladesh. They connect with the devotees. Sunday is holiday, and Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, only 3 verses. They have to come up with memorization and present it. That's the idea. So by that they will practice more. They understand more. They spend some time. That's the idea. Okay, we'll start. We have now good ones. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Ajnanatimirandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chaksharanmritam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namah. Namo Om Vishnupadaya Krishna Prasthaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swami Niti Namine. Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharine. Nirvisesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine. Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda. Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shivasari Gaura Vrinda. Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare. Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare. Mukam Karoti Vachalam Pangum Langayate Girimet Kripatamaham Vande. Shri Gurum Dinataranam Paramanandamadavam Sri Chaitanya Mishwaram. Om Apavitra Pavitro Vasarva Vasangatu Viva. Yasmaret Pundari Kaksham Sabhyabhyantaram Suchihi. Shri Vishnu, Shri Vishnu, Shri Vishnu. So far we have done from Bhagavad Gita 2nd canto, 2nd chapter, CC Madhya 4th chapter, and Srila Prabhupada Lilamrita 4th chapter. So my idea is, let us start from Bhagavatam, okay? 2nd canto, 3rd chapter. Then later Chaitanya Charitamrita, then later Prabhupada Lilamrita. Is that okay, Mataji, Prabhus?
Sorry, please repeat, Prabhu.
Yeah. Actually, till now, 2nd canto, 2nd chapter we have done. Review also done. CC Madhya 4th chapter review done, and all the sloka and translation and purports done. And Prabhupada Lilamrita 4th chapter, 1st volume, 4th chapter done. How shall I review? So my idea is, let us start from again Bhagavatam, then Chaitanya Charitamrita, and then later Prabhupada Lilamrita. Okay?
Yes.
So again, we are little 2 more chapters in the Bhagavatam. Let us catch up those other 2 chapters of Bhagavatam. That's the idea. Okay?
Yes, Prabhu.
Yes, I will share my screen. Read all this. Yes. So we are reading from Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 2, entitled as The Cosmic Manifestation, and Chapter 3, Pure Devotional Service, The Change in Heart. In the previous chapter, how many of you remember that title of the chapter?
Krishna in the heart, Prabhuji. Krishna,
Huh?
Krishna in the heart. Huh?
The Lord in the heart.
Lord in the heart.
Lord in the heart. Very right. Lord in the heart. Yes. This is pure devotional service, the change in heart. Nice chapter, no? Nice entitled Srila Prabhupada has given. Pure devotional service, the change in heart. Very important chapter. Second canto, third chapter. Let us see. Deepa Mata, you can start.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji, Dandavat Pranam. You want me to do the shloka or?
No, it's okay. Yeah, you can start.
Translation interpreted by Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. Shri Sukdev Goswami said, Maharaja Parikshit, as you have inquired from me as to the duty of intelligent man who is on the threshold of death, so I have answered you. Purport. In human society all over the world, there are millions and billions of men and women, and almost all of them are less intelligent because they have very little knowledge of spirit soul. Almost all of them have a wrong conception of life, for they identify themselves with the gross and subtle material bodies, which they are not in fact. They may be situated in different high and low positions in the estimation of human society, but one should know definitely that unless one inquires about his own self beyond the body and the mind, all his activities in human life are total failures. Therefore, out of thousands and thousands of men, one may inquire about the spirit self and thus consult the revealed scriptures like Vedanta Sutras, Bhagavad Gita, and Srimad Bhagavatam. But in spite of reading and hearing such scriptures, unless one is in touch with the realized spiritual master, he cannot actually realize the real nature of self, etc. And out of thousands and hundreds of thousands of men, someone may know what Lord Krishna is in fact. In the Chaitanya Charitamrita, Madhya Leela 20.122 to 123, it is said that Lord Krishna, out of his causeless mercy, prepared the Vedic literatures in the incarnation of Vyasadeva for reading by the intelligent class of men in a human society which is almost totally forgetful of the genuine relation with Krishna. Even such an intelligent class of men may be forgetful in their relation with the Lord. The whole Bhakti Yoga process is therefore a revival of the lost relation. This revival is possible in the human form of life, which is obtained only out of evolutionary cycle of 84 lakh species of life. The intelligent class of human being must take a serious note of this opportunity. Not all human beings are intelligent, so the importance of human life is not always understood. Therefore, Manishinam, meaning thoughtful, is particularly used here. A Manishinam person, like Maharaja Parikshit, must therefore take to the lotus feet of Lord Krishna and fully engage himself in devotional service, hearing, chanting, etc., of the holy name and pastimes of the Lord, which are all Harikathamrita. This action is especially recommended when one is preparing for death. Hare Krishna.
Very, very important statement, Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. So very nice here. That therefore, Manishinam, meaning thoughtful, is particularly used here. A Manishinam person, like Maharaj Parikshit, must therefore take to the lotus feet of Lord Krishna and fully engage himself in devotional service, hearing and chanting, etc., of the holy name and pastimes of the Lord, which are all Hari Kathamrita. This action is especially recommended when one is preparing for death. Not only, actually, Prabhupada writes many times, not only for preparing for death, for everybody, actually, at any point of time. So in this context, he has written like that. So now, let us continue other verses. Yes, now, Samyukta Mataji, can you please read?
Hare Krishna Prabhuji, Dandavat Pranam.
No.
Translation by Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. One who desires to be absorbed in the impersonal Brahma Jyoti effulgence should worship the master of the Vedas, Lord Brahma or Brihaspati, the learned priest. One who desires powerful sex should worship the heavenly king Indra, and one who desires good progeny should worship the great progenitors called the Prajapatis. One who desires good fortune should worship Durga Devi, the superintendent of the material world. One desiring to be very powerful should worship fire, and one who aspires only after money should worship the Vasus. One should worship the Rudra incarnations of Lord Shiva if he wants to be a great hero. One who wants a large stock of grains should worship Aditi. One who desires to attain the heavenly planets should worship the sons of Aditi. One who desires a worldly kingdom should worship Vishwadeva. And one who wants to be popular with the general mass of population should worship the Sadhya, demigod. One who desires a long span of life should worship the demigods known as the Ashwini Kumaras. And a person desiring a strongly built body should worship the earth. One who desires stability in his post should worship the horizon and the earth combined. One who desires to be beautiful should worship the beautiful residents of the Gandharva planet. And one who desires a good wife should worship the Apsaras and the Urvasi, society girls of heavenly kingdom. One who desires domination over others should worship Lord Brahma, the head of the universe. One who desires tangible fame should worship the personality of Godhead. And one who desires a good bank balance should worship the demigod Varuna. If one desires to be a greatly learned man, he should worship Lord Shiva. And if one desires a good marital relation, he should worship the chaste goddess Uma, the wife of Lord Shiva. Shall I read Prabhuji or?
Can you just give it to the devotees?
Yes, Prabhuji.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Prabhuji. Yeah, different worshippers to get different materialist desires. Thank you, Madhya. So now, Sandhya Madhya, please read PowerPoint.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji, Dandavatranam.
Yeah, Madhya.
Purport. There are different modes of worship for different persons desiring success in particular subjects. The conditioned soul living within the purview of the material world cannot be an expert in every type of materially enjoyable asset, but one can have considerable influence over a particular matter by worshipping a particular demigod, as mentioned above. Ravana was made a very powerful man by worshipping Lord Shiva, and he used to offer severe hurts to please Lord Shiva. He became so powerful by the grace of Lord Shiva that all the demigods were afraid of him until he at last challenged personality of Godhead Sri Ramachandra and thus ruined himself. In other words, all such persons who aspire after gaining some or all of the material objects of enjoyment or the gross materialist persons are on the whole less intelligent as confirmed in the Bhagavad Gita 7.20. It is said that those who are bereft of all good sense or those whose intelligence is withdrawn by the deluding energy of Maya aspire to achieve all sorts of material enjoyment in life by pleasing the various demigods or by advancing in material civilization under the heading of scientific progress. The real problem of life in the material world is to solve the question of birth, death, old age, and disease. No one wants to change his birthright. No one wants to meet death. No one wants to be old or invalid, and no one wants diseases. No one wants diseases. But these problems are solved neither by the grace of any demigod nor by the so-called advancement of material science. In the Bhagavad Gita, as well as in the Srimad Bhagavatam, such less intelligent persons have been described as devoid of all good sense. Sukadeva Goswami said that out of the 84 million species of living entities, the human form of life is rare and valuable. And out of those rare human beings, those who are conscious of material problems are rarer still. And the still more rare persons are those who are conscious of the value of Srimad Bhagavatam, which contains the message of the Lord and his pure devotees. Death is inevitable for everyone, intelligent or foolish. But Parikshit Maharaja has been addressed by the Goswami as the Manishi, or the man of highly developed mind, because at the time of death he left all material enjoyment and completely surrendered unto the lotus feet of the Lord by hearing his message from the right person, Sukadeva Goswami. But aspirations for material enjoyment by enduring persons are condemned. Such aspirations are something like the intoxication of the degraded human society. Intelligent persons should try to avoid these aspirations and seek instead the permanent life by returning home back to Godhead. Thank you, Prabhuji.
Yes. Thank you so much. 7 verses in one single in sequence. Yeah, thank you. Sirisha Mata, you want to read?
Yes, Prabhuji. Hare
Yes.
Krishna. Dandavat Pranam.
Hare Krishna.
Translation. One should worship Lord Vishnu or his devotee for spiritual advancement in knowledge and for protection of heredity and advancement of a dynasty. One should worship the various demigods. Purport. The path of religion entails making progress on the path of spiritual advancement, ultimately reviving the eternal relation with Lord Vishnu in his impersonal effulgence, his localized Paramatma future, and ultimately his personal future by spiritual advancement in knowledge. And one who wants to establish a good dynasty and be happy in the progress of temporary bodily relations should take shelter of the Pitas and the demigods in other pious planets. Such different classes of worshippers of different demigods may ultimately reach the respective planets of those demigods within the universe. But he who reaches the spiritual planets in the Brahmajyoti achieves the highest perfection. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Radhika Mata.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji.
Dandavat Pranam. Please read.
Translation of the Pashupata teaching. One who desires domination over a kingdom or an empire should worship the mind. One who desires victory over an enemy should worship the demons. And one who desires sense gratification should worship the moon. But one who desires nothing of material enjoyment should worship the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Purpose. For a liberated person, all the enjoyments listed above are considered to be absolutely useless. Only those who are conditioned by the material modes of external energy are captivated by different types of material enjoyment. In other words, the transcendentalist has no material desires to be fulfilled, whereas the materialist has all types of desires to be fulfilled. The Lord has proclaimed that the materialists who desire material enjoyment and thus seek the favor of different demigods, as above mentioned, are not in control of their senses and to give themselves to nonsense. One should therefore not desire any sort of material love, being sensible enough to worship the Supreme Godhead. The lives of nonsensical persons are nonsensical because it preach openly and foolishly that one can worship any form of God and get the same result. This sort of teaching is not only against the teachings of the Bhagavad Gita or those of Srimad Bhagavatam, it is foolish to claim that with the purchase of any travel ticket one may reach the same destination. No one can reach Bombay from Delhi by purchasing a ticket for Baroda. It is clearly defined that one who has no desire for material enjoyment should worship the Supreme Lord, Shri Krishna, the personality of Godhead. And this worshipping process is called devotion service. Pure devotional service means service to the Lord without any tinge of material desire. If you desire to take part in humble expectation, you do not have material desires but may worship the Supreme Lord. The result of such worship is different, as will be seen in the next verse. Clearly, the Lord has not fulfilled any of the service acts to set in his heart. He avoids such actions altogether. For there is no such thing as
Mataji, actually,
conclusion
your
and
internet is
desire
feeble,
for
it seems.
and this one should be that you call beyond any material. Because children are spread, and that the Supreme Lord in the
Yeah. Actually, Radhika Mata, you can check your internet. You are unable to hear properly. Please check your internet. Anyway, another verse, 10th verse. Okay. Vani Mata, are you able to read? Anyway,
Yes, Prabhuji, I'll read Prabhuji. Hare Krishna.
yeah, read.
Translation. A person A person who has broader intelligence, whether he be full of a material desire, without any material desire or desiring liberation, must by all means worship the supreme whole, the personality of Godhead. Purport.
Madhya, before purport, let us all repeat. This is very important verse. Okay, please
Okay.
all repeat after me. Please read all. Akama sarva kamo va
Kama sarva
moksha kama udaradhi tivrena bhakti yogena yajeta purusham param. Any Mataji, any Prabhuji, one time, please. Can you do quickly?
Akama sarva kamadachin.
Akama sarva kamo va moksha kama udaradhi tivrena bhakti yogena yajeta purusham param.
Thank you, Mataji. Very nice. Prabhus, any Prabhu, please.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji. Can I do? Yeah. Akahama sarva kamo va moksha kama udaridhi tivrena bhakti yogena yajeta purusham param.
Yes, thank you, Prabhu. Vani Mataji, yeah, continue with the purport. Yes, one paragraph we can read.
Yes,
And we
Prabhuji.
will give to other devotees.
The Supreme Personality of Godhead, Lord Shri Krishna, is described in the Bhagavad Gita as Purushottama, or the Supreme Personality. It is He only who can award liberation to the impersonalist by absorbing such aspirants in the Brahma Jyoti, the bodily rays of the Lord. The Brahma Jyoti is not separate from the Lord, as the glowing sun ray is not independent of the sun disk. Therefore, one who desires to merge into the Supreme Impersonal Brahma Jyoti must also worship the Lord by Bhakti Yoga, as recommended here in the Srimad Bhagavatam. Bhakti Yoga is especially stressed here as the means of all perfection. In the previous chapters, it has been stated that Bhakti Yoga is the ultimate goal of both Karma Yoga and Jnana Yoga. And in the same way, in this chapter, it is empathetically declared that Bhakti Yoga is the ultimate goal of the different varieties of worship of the different demigods. Bhakti Yoga, thus being the supreme means of self-realization, is recommended here. Everyone must therefore seriously take up the methods of Bhakti Yoga, even though one aspires for material enjoyment or liberation from the material bondage. Akama is one who has no material.
Mataji, yeah, we'll give it to.
Okay.
It's a big purport. Thank you so much, Mataji. Lavanya, please read this one paragraph.
Akama is one who has no material desire. A living being, naturally being the part and parcel of the Supreme Whole, Purusham Purnam, has as his natural function to serve the Supreme Being, just as the parts and parcel of the body or the limbs of the body are naturally meant to serve the complete body. Desireless means, therefore, not to be inert like the stone, but to be conscious of one's actual position and thus desire satisfaction only from the Supreme Lord. Srila Jiva Goswami has explained his desirelessness as Bhajaniya Parama Purusha Sukha Matra Swasuktatvam in his Sandarbha. This means that one should feel happy only by experiencing the happiness of the Supreme Lord. This intuition of the living being is sometimes manifested even during the conditional stage of the living being in the material world, and such intuition is expressed in the manner of altruism, philanthropy, socialism, communism, etc. By the undeveloped minds or less intelligent persons in the mundane field, such an outlook of doing good to others in the form of society, community, family, country, or humanity is a partial manifestation of the same original feeling in which a pure living entity feels happiness by the happiness of the Supreme Lord. Such super feelings were exhibited by the damsels of Brajabhumi for the happiness of the Lord. The gopis love the Lord without any return, and this is a perfect exhibition of the Akama spirit. Kama spirit or the desire for one's own satisfaction is fully exhibited in the material world, whereas the spirit of akama is fully exhibited in the spiritual world.
That's why selfish and selfless. Two things. Thank you, Lavanya. Yes. Now, Prabhu's, let me see. Vishwambar
Hare
Sharan.
Krishna, Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. Dandavat Pranam.
Wow, 1 second. It's really 1 second. Yeah, come over, no? Yes, this one. Thoughts becoming, yeah.
Thoughts of becoming one with the Lord or being merged in the Brahma Jyoti can also be exhibitions of Kama spirit if they are desire for one's own satisfaction to be free from material miseries. A pure devotee does not want liberation so that he may be relieved from the miseries of life. Even without so-called liberation, a pure devotee is aspirant for the satisfaction of the Lord. Influenced by the Kama spirit, Arjuna declined to fight in the Kurukshetra battlefield because he wanted to save his relatives for his own satisfaction. But being a pure devotee, he agreed a fight on the instruction of the Lord because he came to his senses and realized the satisfaction of the Lord at the cost of his own satisfaction was primary duty. Thus, he became akama, that is the perfect stage of perfect living being. Thank you, Prabhuji.
Thank you, Prabhu. Yeah, Mana Raja Prabhu.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji. Udaradi means one who has a broader outlook. People with desire for material enjoyment worship small demigods, and such intelligence is condemned in the Bhagavad Gita 7.20 as Arthagnana, the intelligence of one who has lot his senses. One cannot obtain any results from demigods without getting sanction from the Supreme Lord. Therefore, a person with a broader outlook can see that the ultimate authority is the Lord, even for the material benefits. Under the circumstances, one with a broader outlook, even with the desire of material enjoyment for our liberation, should take the ownership of the Lord directly. And anyone, whether an akama or sakama or moksha kama, should worship the Lord with a great expedience. This implies that Bhakti Yoga may be perfectly administered without any mixture of kama and jnana, as the unmixed sundry is very forceful and is therefore called tivra. Similarly, unmixed Bhakti Yoga of hearing, chanting, etc. may be performed by one and all regardless of inner motive. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, thank you, Prabhu. 7.20 verse is this one. What is that? Kamaste sarvita jnana prapadyante anya devata tam tam niyamam sastaya prakrutya niyata swaya. So here in this verse it is saying whether we have a material desire or no material desire, just surrender to Krishna. He will fulfill everything. We don't need to go to any other demigods. Akama sarva kama moksha kama udaradi tivrena bhakti yogena yajante purusham para. Bhakti Yoga, adopt the pure devotional service to Supreme Lord Krishna. He eventually fulfills all material desires also, if we a devotee have. Yes. Actually, Krishna gives what we have destined to get, and which is beneficial for our devotional service. Not everything is gonna be, he don't want to give. Yes. Now let us read. Chandraval Prabhu, please read this that 11th verse translation.
Yes. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
All the different kinds, translation by Srila Prabhupada ki jai. All the different kinds of worshippers of multi demigods can attain the highest perfection of benediction, which is spontaneous attraction and unflinchingly fixed upon the Supreme Personality of Godhead only by the association of the pure devotee of the Lord. But all living entities in different statuses of life within the material creation, beginning from the first demigod Brahma, down to the small ant, are conditioned under the law of material nature or the national energy of the Supreme Lord. The living entity in his pure state is conscious of the fact that he is a part and parcel of the Lord, But when he is thrown into the material world on account of his desire to lord it over material energy, he becomes conditioned by the by the three modes of material nature, and thus struggles for existence for the highest benefit. The struggle for existence is something like following the will o' the wisp under the spell of material enjoyment. All plans for material enjoyment, either by worshipping of different demigods, as described in the previous verses of this chapter, or by modernized advancement of scientific knowledge without the help of God or demigod, are illusory only. For despite all such plans for happiness, the condition living being within the compass of material creation can never solve the problems of life, namely birth, death, old age, and disease. The history of the universe is full of such plan makers, and many kings and emperors come and go, leaving a plan making story only. But the prime problems of life remain unsolved, and despite all endeavors by such plan makers. Hare
So,
Krishna.
thank you. Yes, thank you. We'll give it to us. Akincham Prabhu, please read.
Hare Krishna. Actually, human life is meant for making a solution to the problems of the life. One can never solve such problems by satisfying the different demigods, by different modes of worship, or by so-called scientific advancement in knowledge without the help of the god or the demigods. Apart from the gross materialistics who care very little either for the god or for the demigods, the Vedas recommend worship of different demigods and different benefits for different benefits. And so the demigods are neither false nor imaginary. The demigods are as factual as we are, but they are much more powerful due to their being engaged in direct service to the Lord in managing different departments in the universal government. The Bhagavad Gita affirms this, and different planets of the demigods are mentioned there, including the supreme demigod, Lord Brahma. The gross materialistic do not believe in the existence of the god or the demigods, nor do they believe that different planets are dominated by different demigods. They are creating a great commotion about reaching the closest celestial body, Chandraloka, or the moon, but even after much mechanical research, they have only very scanty information of the moon. And in spite of much false advertisement for selling land on the moon, the puffed up scientists or gross materialistic cannot live there. And what to speak of reaching the other planets, which they are unable even to count. However, the followers of the Vedas have a different method of acquiring knowledge. They accept the statements of the Vedic literature as the authority in toto, as we have already discussed in Canto 1, and therefore they have full and reasonable knowledge of God and demigods and of their different residential planets situated within the compass of the material world and beyond the limit of material sky. The most authentic Vedic literature accepted by the great Indian acharyas like Shankara, Ramanuja, Madhava, Vishnu Swami, Nimbarka, and Chaitanya, and studied by all important personalities of the world, is the Bhagavad Gita, in which the worship of demigods and their respective residential planets are mentioned. The Bhagavad Gita 9.25 affirms
Prabhuji,
yeah. Yanti deva vrata devan pitri pitraiva vrata. Sorry. Bhutani yanti bhuteja yanti matyajnopi mam. The worshippers of the demigod reach the respective planets of the demigods, and worshippers of the forefathers reach the planets of the forefathers. The gross materialist remains in the different material planets, but the devotees of the Lord reach the kingdom of the God. Hare Krishna. Thank you.
Hare Krishna. Thank you very much. Suman Prabhu, please read these two paragraphs. Suman Prabhuji.
Can I read, Prabhuji?
Yes, Sapan Prabhu. Read.
Hare Krishna. We also have information from the Bhagavad Gita that all the planets within the material world, including Brahmaloka, are temporarily situated, and after a fixed period, they are all annihilated. Therefore, the demigods and their followers are all annihilated at the period of devastation. But one who reaches the kingdom of God gets a permanent share in eternal life. That is the verdict of Vedic literature. The worshippers of the demigods have one facility more than the unbelievers due to their being convinced of the Vedic version, by which they can get information of the benefit of worshipping the Supreme Lord in the association of the devotees of the Lord. The gross materialist, however, without any faith in the Vedic version, remains eternally in darkness, driven by a false conviction on the basis of imperfect experimental knowledge or so-called material science, which can never reach into the realm of transcendental knowledge. Therefore, unless the gross materialist or the worshippers of the temporary demigods come in contact, scroll Shri Prabhuji. With a transcendentalist like the pure devotee of the Lord, their attempts are simply a waste of energy. Only by the grace of divine personalities, the pure devotees of the Lord, one can achieve pure devotion, which is the highest perfection of human life. Only a pure devotee of the Lord can show one the right way of progressive life. Otherwise, both the materialist way of life without any information of God or the demigods, and the life engaged in the worship of demigods in pursuit of temporary material enjoyments are different phases of phantasmagoria. They are nicely explained in Bhagavad Gita also, but the Bhagavad Gita can be understood in the association of pure devotees only, and not by the interpretations of politicians or dry philosophical speculators. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Thank you so much, Prabhuji. Is anybody left? Let me see. That's done. So, Suman Prabhu, are you still there? Hare Krishna, Suman Prabhu. Okay, Suman Prabhu, Hare Krishna. Anyway, I think we can stop here. We'll continue from text 12 tomorrow.
Prabhuji, Hare Krishna. This is Lalpan Das Prabhuji.
Yes, Prabhuji.
Prabhu, the before verse, no? Akama Sarva Kamuga. Yeah, did you make them recite, Prabhuji? That's very important verse.
Yes, recite it. Yes.
Okay, thank you.
Recite, yeah. Yeah, let me share slokas and we can start practicing. All the 5 verses again. No, yes. Yeah. Yes, it's loading. Mata is probably Lalma ఒకసారి మళ్ళీ చేయండి 5 శ్లోకాలు. Then Mata is probably they can do it.
Okay, Prabhuji. Uddhama bhava pishunamalavalguhasa व्रीढावलोकनिहतो मदनो पियासाम् सम्मोह्य चापमजहात् प्रमदोत्तमास्त यस्येन्द्रियं विमतितुं कुहकैर्न शेकुः भवद्विदा भागवतः तीर्थभूत स्वयं विभो तीर्थीकुर्वन्ति तीर्थानि स्वान्तस्तेन गदावृता तुलयामलवेनापि न स्वर्गं न पुनर्भवं भगवत्सङ्गिसङ्गस्य मर्त्यानां किमुताशिषः तिरस्कृता विप्रलब्धा शब्दा क्षिप्ता हता अपि नास्य तत्प्रतिकुर्वन्ति तद्भक्ता प्रभवोऽपि हि पुनश्च भूया भगवत्यनन्ते रतिप्रसङ्गश्च तदाश्रयेषु महत्सु यां याम् उपयामि सृष्टिं Maitryastu sarvatra namo dvijebhyah. Thank you, Prabhuji.
Yeah, thank you so much. Matais and Prabhuis, please read along with translation. Okay. I'll be here another 10 minutes and then give it to Deepa Matai. She can continue. Okay. Speakers, help yourself and quickly recite.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. Shall I recite, Prabhuji?
Yeah, go ahead, Mataji.
Uddhama bhava pisuna malaval kuhasa व्रीढावलोकनिहतो मदनो पियासाम् सम्मोह्य चापमजहात् प्रमदोत्तमास्ता यस्येन्द्रियं विमतितुं कुहकैर्न शेकुः.
Chant, Mataji, chant.
ప్రభుజీ ఒక్క ట్యూన్ చెప్తారా? మర్చిపోయాను.
Bhavadvidha bhagavata.
ఓకే ప్రభుజీ. भवद्विधा भागवतास् तीर्थभूतः स्वयं विभो तीर्थीकुर्वन्ति तीर्थानि स्वान्तहस्तेन गदाभृता. तुलयामलवेनापि न स्वर्गं न पुनर्भवं भगवत्सङ्गसङ्गस्य मर्तानां किमु उताशिषा. तिरस्कृता विप्रलाप्ता शप्ता क्षिप्ता हता अपि नास्य तत् प्रतिकुर्वन्ति तद्भक्ता प्रभवोभिः. पुनश्च भूयात् भगवत्यनन्ते रते प्रसङ्गश्च तदाश्रयेषु महत्सु याम्याम् उपयामि सृष्टिं मैत्रस्तु सर्वत्र नमो द्विजेभ्यः.
Thank you, Mataji. But translation also you can do, but anyway, so you can do tomorrow. Yeah. Prabhuji, no, Mataji is meaning.
Shall I do, Prabhuji?
Yes.
Yes, Prabhuji. Uddhama bhava
Translation
pashu.
also you do, okay?
Okay, Prabhuji. Okay. Uddhama bhava pishuna malaval guhasa व्रीढावलोकनिहतो मदनो पियासाम् सम्मोह्य चापमजहात् प्रमदोत्तमास्ता यस्येन्द्रियं विमतितुं कुहकैर्न शेकु. Translation: although the queen's beautiful smiles and furtive glances were all spotless and exciting, and although they could conquer Cupid himself by making him give up his bow in frustration, and although even the tolerant Shiva could fall victim to them, still, despite all their magical feats and attractions, they could not agitate the senses of the Lord. Bhavadvidha bhagavatas तीर्थभूता स्वयं विभो तीर्थि कुर्वन्ति तीर्थानि स्वान्तस्तेन गदाभृता. My Lord, devotees like your good self are verily holy places personified, because you carry the personality of Godhead within your heart. You turn all places into places of pilgrimage. तुलयामलवेनापि न स्वर्गं न पुनर्भवं भगवत्सङ्गसङ्गस्य मर्त्यानां किम् उताशिषः. The value of a moment's association with the devotee of the Lord cannot even be compared to the attainment of heavenly planets or liberation from matter. And what to speak of worldly benedictions in the form of material prosperity, which are for those who are meant for death. तिरस्कृता विप्रलब्धा शप्तक्षिप्ता हतापि नास्य तत्प्रतिकुर्वन्ति तद्भक्ता प्रभवो अपि हि. The devotees of the Lord are so forbearing that even though they are defamed, cheated, cursed, disturbed, neglected, or even killed, they are never inclined to avenge themselves. पुनश्च भूयात् भगवत्यनन्ते रतिप्रसङ्गाश्च तदाश्रयेषु महत्सु याम्यामुपयामि सृष्टिं मैत्र्यस्तु सर्वत्र नमोद्विजेभ्यः. Again offering obeisances unto all you Brahmanas, I pray that if I should again take my birth in the material world, I will have complete attachment to the unlimited Lord Krishna, association with his devotees, and friendly relations with all living beings. Hare Krishna. Thank you, Prabhuji.
Can I read next, Prabhuji? I have to leave.
Thank you. Thank you. Yeah, go ahead, Prabhu.
Hare Krishna. उद्धाम भावपिशुना मलवल्गुहासा व्रीडावलोकनिहतो मदनोऽपि यासां सम्मोह्य चापमजहात् प्रमदोत्तमास्ता यस्येन्द्रियं विमतितुं कुहकैर्न शेको. Although the queen's beautiful smiles and fruitive glances were all spotless and exciting, and although they could conquer Cupid himself by making him give up his bow in frustration, and although even the tolerant Shiva could fall victim to them, still, despite all their magical feats and attractions, they could not agitate the senses of the Lord. Bhavadvida bhagavatas tirthabhuta swayam vibhu tirti kurvanti tirtani swantastena gadabrita. My Lord, the devotees like your good self are verily holy places personified. Because you carry the personality of Godhead within your heart, you turn all places into places of pilgrimage. Tulyamalavanephi na swargam na purbavam bhagavat sangi sangasya martyanam kim utashisha. The value of moment's association with the devotee of the Lord cannot even be compared to the attainment of heavenly planets or liberation from matter. What to speak of worldly benedictions in the form of material prosperity, which are for those who are meant for death. Tiraskrita vipralabdha saptashipta hata api nasya tatprati kurvanti tadbhakta prabhavopihi. The devotees of the Lord are so forbearing that even though they are defamed, cheated, cursed, disturbed, neglected, or even killed, they are never inclined to avenge themselves. Punyasya bhuyat bhagavatyanante rati prasangascha tadashrayeshu mahatsu yam upayami shreshtim maitriyastu sarvatra namo dvijebhyaha. Again offering obeisance unto all you Brahmanas, I pray that if I should again take my birth in the material world, I will have complete attachment to the unlimited Lord Krishna, association with his devotees, and friendly relation with all living beings. Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Prabhu. Thank you. So, Madhya, you want to take now?
I can take, Prabhuji.
Yeah, but you have this PDF, Madhya? How yesterday you ran with different one, right? Is that okay?
Yeah, 1 second. I'll just
If you
download.
want PDF, I will share this one if you want.
It is shared, Prabhuji. Yesterday that was easily available ani continue చేశాను.
You have this one?
Yeah, I have it.
Okay.
Yeah, you can
then
make me the
I
host.
am making you host.
Yeah.
You can continue. I have some rounds also. I am continuing with my rounds.
Sure,
Yeah.
Prabhuji.
Very host. Deepa Mata is host now. Okay. You carry on, Mata, okay?
Yes, Prabhuji. Yeah.
ఇది యాక్చువల్గా ఈ ఫాంట్ నేను తర్వాత మార్చిన వైట్ కలర్ గా. ఒక్క నిమిషం అండి ఇస్తానండి, అది ఓపెన్ చేయండి ఒక్క నిమిషం. ఓకే.
ఆర్ అది CB2 శ్లోకాస్ ఓపెన్ చేసేనా ప్రభుజీ? ఎట్లాగో మనము సినానిమ్స్ చదవట్లేదు కాబట్టి
అది చేయండి,
కంటిన్యూస్ ఉంటుంది పేజ్ చేంజ్.
వైట్ అండ్ వైట్. ఓకే, అదే పెట్టండి. వెరీ నైస్.
ఓకే.
I'll be in participant mode. I can leave anytime. Okay, thank you.
Yes, Prabhuji.
Thank you all the devotees for joining every day. Thank you for the inspiration. Hare Krishna.
So I'll do it now. Srimad Bhagavatam 1.11.36. Uddhama bhava pishunamalavalguhasa Vridavaloka madano piyasam Sammukhya chapamajahat pramadottamasta Yasyendriyam vimathitum kuhakairna shekuhu. Translation. Although the queen's beautiful smiles and furtive glances were all spotless and exciting, and although they could conquer Cupid himself by making him give up his bow in frustration, and although even the tolerant Shiva could fall victim to them, still, despite all their magical feats and attractions, they could not agitate the senses of the Lord. Srimad Bhagavatam 1.13.10. Bhavatvidha bhagavatas तीर्थभूता स्वयं विभो तीर्थि कुर्वन्ति तीर्थानि स्वान्तस्थेन गदाभृता. Translation. My Lord, devotees like your good self are verily holy places personified. Because you carry the personality of Godhead within your heart, you turn all places into places of pilgrimage. Srimad Bhagavatam 1.18.13. तुलयामलवेनापि न स्वर्गं न पुनर्भवं भगवत्सङ्गी सङ्गस्य मर्त्यानां किम् उताशिषः. Translation. The value of a moment's association with the devotee of the Lord cannot even be compared to the attainment of heavenly planets or liberation from matter, and what to speak of worldly benedictions in the form of material prosperity, which are for those who are meant for death. Srimad Bhagavatam 1.18.48. Tiraskrita vipralabdha shapta kshipta hatapi nasya tat pratikurvanti tat bhakta prabhavopihi. Translation. The devotees of the Lord are so forbearing that even though they are defamed, cheated, cursed, disturbed, neglected, or even killed, they are never inclined to avenge themselves. Srimad Bhagavatam 1.19.16. Punascha bhuyad bhagavatyanante rati prasangaschata. Punascha bhuyad bhagavatyanante rati prasangaschatadashrayeshu mahatsuyamyamupayami srishtim maitrastu sarvatra namo dvijebhyaha. Translation. Again, offering obeisances unto all you Brahmanas, I pray that if I should again take my birth in the material world, I will have complete attachment to the unlimited Lord Krishna, association with his devotees, and friendly relations with all living beings. Hare Krishna. Next to every.
Hare Krishna Mataji. I can do Mataji.
Yeah, please do.
Hare Krishna. Dandavata Mataji.
Hare Krishna Mataji. Dandavata.
Uttama bhava pisuna malavalguhasa Vridavalokanihyato madano piyasyam Sammuhya chapamajahat pramodhat Sammuhya chapam ajahat pramodhat.
Sammuhya chapamajahat pramadottamasta. అంటే అక్కడ ఒక పాజ్ తీసుకోండి. సమ్ముహ్య చాపం అజహాత్ ఒకసారి చేయండి, అప్పుడు పాజ్ తీసుకుని ప్రమదోత్తమాస్త అలా అనండి, అప్పుడు వచ్చేస్తుంది.
ఓకే ఓకే. సమ్ముహ్య చాపం అజహాత్ ప్రమదోత్తమాస్త యస్యేంద్రియం విమతితుం kuhakairna sheku. I'll do once again, Mataji.
Yes, Madhya, please.
Uttama bhava pishuna malaval guhasa व्रीडावलोकनिहतो मदनो पियास्यं सम्मूह्य चापमजहत् प्रमदोत्तमास्ता यस्येन्द्रियं विमतितुं कुहकैर्न शेको. Translation: Although the queen's beautiful smiles and furtive glance were all spotless and exciting, and although they could conquer Cupid himself by making him give up his bow in frustration, and although even the tolerant Shiva could fall victim to them, still, despite all their magical feats and attractions, they could not agitate the senses of the Lord.
Yes, Madhya. చిన్న చిన్న స్మాల్ థింగ్స్ జస్ట్ చూసుకోండి. అది ఎక్కడైతే దీర్ఘం ఉందో అక్కడ దీర్ఘం పెట్టండి, ఎక్కడ దీర్ఘం లేదో అక్కడ దీర్ఘం పెట్టకండి. లైక్ ఫర్ ఇన్స్టెన్స్ ఇక్కడ కృష్ణామల బల్గు, సో ఇట్ విల్ నాట్ బి బాల్గు, ఇట్ విల్ బి బల్గు బికాస్ దెర్ ఇస్ నో దీర్ఘం. హాస, సో ఎక్కడెక్కడ దీర్ఘం ఉందో పైన అక్కడ కొంచెం ఎక్స్టెండ్ చేయండి అనమాట. వ్రీడావలోకనిహతో మదనో పియాసాం ఇట్లా. చాపమజహాత్ ప్రమదోత్తమాస్తా, సో అక్కడ తమస్ అయిపోదు అనమాట, తమాస్ అవుతుంది, ఎందుకంటే మీనింగ్ మారిపోతుంది అనమాట. నెక్స్ట్ వన్.
భగవద్విదా భాగవతాస్ తీర్థభూతా స్వయం విభో తీర్థి కుర్వంతి తీర్థాని స్వాంతస్తేన గడాభృతా. Translation: My Lord, devotees like your good self are verily holy places personified. Because you carry the personality of Godhead within your heart, you turn all places into places of pilgrimage. तुलयामलवेनापि न स्वर्गं न पुनर्भवं भगवत् संगी संगस्य मर्त्यानां किम् उतर्षिषा. Translation: The value of a moment's association with the devotee of the Lord cannot even be compared to the attainment of heavenly planets or liberation from matter. And what to speak of worldly benedictions in the form of material prosperity, which are for those who are meant for death. Tiraskrita vipralabdha shapta kshipta hatapi nasya tat pratikurvanti tat bhakta prabhavopihi. Translation: The devotees of the Lord are so forbearing that even though that they are defamed, cheated, cursed, disturbed, neglected, or even killed, they are never inclined to avenge themselves. Punascha bhuyat bhagavatyanante rati prasangascha tadashrayeshu mahasuyamyam upayami sistim maitrastu sarvatra namo dvijebhyah. Translation: Again offering obeisances unto all you Brahmanas, I pray that if I should again take my birth in the material world, I will have complete attachment to the unlimited Lord Krishna, association with his devotees, and friendly relations with all living beings.
Very well done, Mataji. బాగా చేశారు. థ్యాంక్ యూ. రాజు ప్రభు ఉన్నారా?
ఈజ్ ఇన్ కాల్ Mataji. వేరే కాల్లో ఉన్నారా?
యా, ఓకే. సో నెక్స్ట్ ఎవరు బాకీ ఉన్నారు? లావణ్య మాతాజీ. యా, ఎవరు? రామరెడ్డి ప్రభు, యూ వాంట్ టు?
You can do, Prabhu. You can do.
Yeah, please do.
Mataji, thank you, Mataji. Sorry, Mataji. Uddhama bhavishuna malavalguhasa Vridavalokanihato madano piyasam सम्मोह्य चापमजहात् प्रमदोत्तमास्ता यस्येन्द्रियं विमतितुं कुहकैर्न शेको. Translation చేయాలి మాతాజీ ఆర్ జస్ట్
చేయండి చేయండి మేము బట్టి కొడతాం అలాగా మీరు చేస్తుంటే.
Although the queen's beautiful smiles and furtive glances were all spotless and exciting, and although they could conquer Cupid himself by making him give up his bow in frustration, and although even the tolerant Shiva could fall victim to them, still despite all their magical feats and attractions, they could not agitate the senses of the Lord. भवद्विदा भागवता तीर्थभूता स्वयं विभो तीर्थीकुर्वन्ति तीर्थानि स्वान्तस्तेन गदाभृता. Translation: My Lord, devotees like your good self are verily holy places personified, because you carry the personality of Godhead within your heart. You turn all places into places of pilgrimage. तुलयामलवेनापि न स्वर्गं न पुनर्भवम् भगवत्सङ्गिसङ्गस्य मर्त्यानां किम् उताशिषा. The value of a moment's association with the devotee of the Lord cannot even be compared to the attainment of heavenly planets or liberation from matter, and what to speak of worldly benedictions in the form of material prosperity, which are for those who are meant for death. तिरस्कृता विप्रलब्धा शब्दा क्षिप्ता हता अपि नास्य तत्प्रतिकुर्वन्ति तद्भक्ता प्रभवोऽपिः. The devotees of the Lord are so forbearing that even though they are defamed, cheated, cursed, disturbed, neglected, or even killed, they are never inclined to avenge themselves. पुनश्च भूयाद् भगवन्त्यनन्ते रति प्रसङ्गाश्च तदाश्रयेषु महात्सु याम्यामुपयामि सृष्टिं मैत्र्यस्तु सर्वत्र नमोद्विजेभ्यः. Again, offering obeisances unto all you Brahmanas, I pray that if I should again take my birth in the material world, I will have complete attachment to the unlimited Lord, Sri Krishna, association with his devotees and friendly relations with all living beings. Hare Krishna Mataji Dandatram. Thank you.
Thank you, Prabhuji. Learning Mataji.
Yes. उत्तामभावपिशुना मलवल्गुहसं व्रीडावलोकनिहतो मदनोऽपि यासां सम्मोह्य चापमजहात् प्रमदोत्तमस्ता यस्येन्द्रियं विमतितुं कुहकैर्न शेकु भवद्विता भागवतास्तीर्थभूता स्वयं विभो तीर्थीकुर्वन्ति तीर्थानि स्वान्तस्तेन गदाभृता तुलयामलवेनापि न स्वर्गं न पुनर्भवम् भगवत्सङ्गिसङ्गस्य मर्त्यानां किमुताशिषः तिरस्कृता विप्रलब्धा शक्ता क्षिप्ता हता अपि नास्य तत्प्रतिकुर्वन्ति तद्भक्ता प्रभवोऽपि पुनश्च भूयाद् भगवत्यनन्ते रति प्रसङ्गा च तदाश्रयेषु महस्याम्यामुपयामि सृष्टिं मैत्रस्तु सर्वत्र नमोद्विजेभ्यः. Yes, thank you.
అందరూ అయిపోయినట్టేనా హరే కృష్ణ?
Yes, Mataji.
Okay, Mataji, then sure we shall conclude the call. वाञ्छा कल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपा सिन्धुभ्य एव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः। अनंत कोटि वैष्णववृंद की जय। श्रील प्रभुपाद बुक रीडिंग की जय। श्रीमद् भागवतम की जय। श्रीमद् भगवत गीता की जय। चैतन्य चरितामृत की जय। हरे कृष्ण। दंडवत प्रणाम।
Thank you, Mataji. Dandavat pranam.
Thank you, Mataji. Thank you, Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.